Hello tubers, what we're doing today is we've got the 1255 XL International tractor. Got a few little problems with that. I did the tappets a couple of weeks ago, and after I adjusted them it was leaking diesel out of the exhaust, and we basically got down to what the problem is. It was one of these valve stem seals had gone hard because it had been stood for a couple of months and it was letting diesel by. So I actually used it for a day with the diesel coming out the exhaust, and then it stopped. Sorry, not diesel, oil coming out the exhaust, and then it stopped. Obviously these things had got warm and got pliable, and then it stopped all the problems. So they got a bit deformed because it had been left over the winter not doing a whole lot of things. So we got a new set of them, but I don't actually need to put them in today. But what we have got is also, this isn't a sex toy, it's a copper injector seal. I'm not sure the actual real name from, but you hit that into the head gently, and then the injector goes in there and it creates a seal on the top of the piston, and it stops anything escaping. And what's happening at the moment is round the edge of just one of the injectors here, there is a air bubble of diesel coming out, and it's leaking quite a bit. So we want to get that sorted. And if you look down in there, there's a hole in the bottom. You do really need to get the head off to put both of these things in. And you turn the head upside down and knock them out. Now, I was talking to somebody and they reckon that you can get the injector out, put that in, and then screw that into there, and you can possibly pull it out without taking the head out. Now that's what I'm going to try. But I didn't want to try that until I had a head gasket and a rocker cover gasket, because if all this goes pear-shaped and the head has to come off, I've got to have a head gasket. And the head gaskets for these internationals are hard to come by. These had to come from abroad. It took a month for it to come. So these other bits are quite simple. We got some more leak-off pipe for the injectors, for the return pipe as well, because that was a bit leaky in a couple of places. So a couple of category 2 hooks to go on the back, because this tractor originally came from Italy and they're obviously doing a bit of ploughing with it, and she's wore a bit. So don't suppose I'll do that today. Maybe this, but we will definitely have a go at putting these on. So I'll get to the tractor and get the bonnet off, and we'll see how it goes. Right guys and gals, this is the problem we've got. That is the injector with the problem, and it's coming up, as you can see there, bubbles from under the injector, see? See them bubbles coming at the bottom of the injector? That's where all the diesel's coming from. And then it's spewing all over here. It wasn't too bad before, but it's getting a bit of a pain in the arse now, because it's covering all the engine all over. Especially at the price of diesel, so we can't use too much of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to undo that injector now in a minute and get that out, and we're going to see if we can get that blooming thing out to seal properly. Now this could either be a very easy job or a big job, so if I fail for me to do this the easy way, the whole head's going to have to come off, and I don't want to do that. This is a big of a job. So as we get on, also I'll make sure I'll show you that them little return pipes, what the excess fuel is passed all back through, and it goes back to the tank basically from all the injectors, and they get a bit hard and worn. So we've got some new pipes to do that. So let's hope, cross our fingers that we can get this out, and I'll show you as I'm doing it, okay? Right then, we've got the injector pipe off this side. We've cleaned it all off. We put degreaser over it, and we put a cap on top of the injector, because they're don't want to get any shit on top of them injectors if we can help it, because it'll end up costing you a lot of money to have a new injector and getting them cleaned and all that. So basically try and keep them very clean. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to undo that bolt there, take the injector out, and we're going to try and get this thing out, and it's either going to work or it isn't. So cross fingers that this will come out, because if it won't, we're going to have a lot of work. just took that out, and straight away you can see all the crap on the bottom is not burning properly, because all this stuff and the diesel is getting forced up by the side of the injector. That's what is happening in that one. Look at the mess on it, and the tip. So as I showed you before, can you see it there now? That is what we need to get out. That thing. Now this is either going to work or it isn't, and I'm not going to film it. I'm going to screw that bolt in and try and pull it out. So, like I said, cross blooming fingers. Well boys, I'm trying to get a copper sleeve out of there, so I've got a bolt in the copper sleeve with a chain going to a pullers off a spike of a loader, and I've got some serious fucking stress on this, and it still won't move. Ooh. I don't think this is too good regarding health and safety indeed, but let's hope we can get it out. Well, it fucking worked, boys. That was I gotta say, that was pretty effing dangerous. Glad I tied that spanner down because there was some pressure there. She's out. Just got to get the other one back in now. That could have been drastic. Right guys and gals, that was pretty hardcore. I had to use my forklift and put lots of tension on it. I tried it pulling with the fence pullers till it was as tight as I could pull it. It wasn't having it. I basically had to use the power of the forklift in the end. So that's what happened. The bolt went in there from the top. I got a ring spanner on it, a chain round it, and pulled it, and it's come out. So I wouldn't fucking recommend anybody does that, because that was seriously fucking dodgy. Well, here we are. So see if we can get the other one back in, and hope everything is okay. Right guys, we've got this all back together pretty much really. I took this injector out just to see what height it had to be, and then I knocked that one in till it stopped and it was at the correct height. So I got She Sells Sanctuary on in the background, my favourite song ever, love it. Used to be dancing like a fool to it. Anyway, before I put this injector in, I pulled the stop out and turned the engine over, because this copper thing has let water into the cylinders. So good job I did, because there's a good bit of water splurted out. So we done that. One mistake I have made, I should have let the water out first, because it's gone into some of it's gone into the oil and the sump. I didn't realise that it was in the water jacket, and anyway, I've made a mistake of it. So if you're going to do this yourself, loose the water out first. So what we're going to do now is I've tightened this up. I'm going to make some new pipes like this out of this pipe I've got. Put this injector on here, and I'll deal with the oil then. So let you know how I get on. Well, guys and girls, I put all the injectors back in. Everything's working perfectly. I just thought I'd tell you how I got that sleeve in, that copper sleeve back in. I used the old sleeve and I just taped it onto an extension bar, and then held that on top of the sleeve and knocked it in with that, and it didn't damage anything. It went in quite easy actually. So that is the old one I pulled out, the old copper sleeve I pulled out of there. So it wasn't that hard. Once you got the actual piece out, it was okay. That was the hardest job. But anyway, one mistake I did make, I think I mentioned it earlier in one of the parts, is that I forgot to take the water out. So when I pulled that out, the sleeve separates the water from the piston, and water's gone into my oil, so I got to change my oil. So that was an expensive mistake. Yeah, so there's 2 grams to put in here now. So the funny colour on there is nothing what's happened now. A couple of months ago I had a problem. The head gasket went and it pressurized all the system, and all the water and everything was coming out of the exhaust. It was unreal. That's what that's from. It's not from now. So the head gasket had gone, and then all the cylinder pressure was going, the water was going into all the exhaust, the turbo. It was unreal. I thought she was banjaxed, but it was alright with a different head gasket. So righto, then we're going to just put the oil in now and show you running it after. Well, she's going again, pop pickers. Listen to that turbo whistling away. There is not another sound like these 1255 XLs. Beautiful. 6-cylinder. Perfect. All good YouTubers. She's purring like a kitten. Listen to that. That's a job. That's a proper job.